Hey friends, welcome back. Today I'm giving you a peek into what our language arts looks like. Currently, our kids are 12, 10, 8, and 6. As you can imagine, that's a lot of stuff going into one subject. However, there is kind of a plan that I use to keep this all in check. I kind of break it down into blocks, all right? So I'm gonna show you what that looks like today with the different ages and levels that we're at, including some of the books that we're using in terms of curriculum, as well as stuff my kids just like to read. So before we get too deep into this, please be sure you are subscribed and give this video a like. I am excited to get rolling and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. All right, friends, let's get started. So for our main curriculum, we have, from the beginning of our homeschooling careers, about 8 years ago, started using the good and the beautiful. This is the backbone of our language arts curriculum. This is where we get kind of all the grammar, spelling, foundational writing skills, and it just helps keep us kind of progressing forward, all right? So we've gotten a copy of each one and have used that same copy for each of our 4 kids. I just make a simple copy when there's a consumable page that we need for kids to write on. So a good budget-friendly option as well. Now, I do layer in some other things, all right, to kind of fill out this language arts experience for our family. So I'm gonna head into those now, but baseline, backbone, the good and the beautiful. Now, the next thing that we get into are some classes. No secret. We are the owners and main teachers of Curio, and there are other teachers that work with us that we are so excited to share with many other homeschool families. But I just want you to know that my own kids are in our classes, okay? That's how much we believe in them, and that's how much we put stock in the value of these classes, okay? So this has been a gift to us. We've taken other online classes, and we continue to do that with French, and we'll continue to do that. But this is a chance for our kids to kind of see what this looks like to discuss with other kids and to experience that discussion kind of atmosphere that they might not get with their siblings or with my husband and I. All right, so the first class that I want to tell you about is our Newberry Book Club. This is for 9 to 13-year-olds. So my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old are in this class. They're in different sections so that the sisterly bonds don't get in the way. You know what I mean? This is a time when we focus on discussion, literary analysis. Each week there is vocab, there are comprehension questions, and for every book that we read, there are 2 essays. For most kids, they're optional. For our kids, they're obligatory. And this is where I get to walk with them through this outline process, through using text evidence, using sticky notes while they're reading, teaching them to be active readers, right? This is super important for them. Meanwhile, my 8-year-old is in Curio's show and share class. This is a really low pressure public speaking class. My 8-year-old also has a YouTube channel, so he gets this practice in as well. But this is a chance for him to kind of see what his peers are doing and interact with them, ask different questions, and kind of model his speaking on what his audience is listening for, if that makes sense. So definitely something that we love. You can check more, get more details on those classes in the description. Okay, let's talk daily writing. Now, some of you may cringe at this, but think about this. This is one of those things that really feels like exercise to me, okay? I love a good workout. Now, if I want to, like I set the goal a few years ago of really toning my arms, right? And so how am I gonna go about doing that? Well, I'm not gonna start like bench pressing a ton of weight. I'm going to start doing push-ups daily. I'm going to start using certain amounts of weights that previously were uncomfortable. I'm going to work my way up, but I'm going to do it consistently, daily. This is daily writing for our kids. This is strength training in terms of not only the physical muscles and precision in their skills with handwriting, but as we see with the younger kids, right? But as we build, we're writing sentences that lead into paragraphs that lead into essays, okay? So stick with me. So here's what my 12-year-old does. She does daily writing in the form of short answer responses each day. Usually this is tied to her history work. We do history for the ages, David and history for the ages. David's a fantastic history professor, and his history curriculum is set up where there are fill in the blank questions, there are short answer questions. And so every day she's watching one of his videos and writing responses in there. You better believe that we're checking those responses for grammar, for spelling, for clarity, things like that, okay? So on top of that, she has her 2 literary analysis essays for our Newberry Book Club that she produces, right? At the end of every history unit, she also writes an essay that either answers a big question or summarizes something, depending on the unit, depending on her interest in that topic. That's something that we'll do. Our 10-year-old, she also writes essays through her language arts curriculum, the good and the beautiful, plus the twice a book, which turns out to be once a month, basically, essays for the Newberry Book Club. Also, our 10-year-old does daily writing in terms of like a daily journal. So they are constantly writing down their thoughts, For us as a family, faith is really important. So reading the Bible each morning, this is part of her, writing practice, but it is more of a personal thing. My 10-year-old is not a person who really enjoys writing. So right now, that's enough. That's enough. She's getting the practice in and she's writing those essays with book club, but this is not something I am pushing with her at the moment. And I think that's a choice that I would not have made a few years ago, but it's something that I've seen pays dividends with kids who are not as excited about a certain topic. Our 8-year-old, he is much more excited about writing. He loves to write and is really excited when it has something to do with something that he loves, which at this point is basketball. So our 8-year-old does some writing each day in English and Spanish. I noticed with our older kids, I don't think we did this enough. So with our younger kids, they're kind of getting the perspective on this. At thinkcurio.com, we do offer these writing warm-up journals. They are varied prompts that are available in English, French, and Spanish. Currently, our 8-year-old is using the English and Spanish ones, and so each day he's writing out the sentences that correspond to that prompt. And we've typically done this. There's no research backing this, but it's felt appropriate. They need to write as many sentences as correspond to their grade. So if he's in 4th grade this year, he's writing 4 sentences per question. If that makes sense. So a good meter for him to kind of measure how much he's written. And again, he's going to go above and beyond if it's something that has to do with something that he really loves. Our 6-year-old is at the sweetest stage. She writes out her spelling words each day. She also loves chalk and whiteboard markers. So we figured out some different ways to use picture frames, just the glass in a picture frame where she can write her spelling words. She can also use her finger to write her spelling words in a pie plate of dried rice or beans. So that just gets those fine motor skills moving. And it just really enjoys reading stories aloud. And so we're always going back through, having her spell those words out loud, that sort of thing. So lots of different ways you can do writing and build those skills throughout those ages. All right, independent reading. Now, reading is huge for a lot of different reasons. Good readers tend to be good writers. They have seen and been exposed to so many different words. They've seen spelling, correct spelling in the books that they're reading, and they're more motivated to write when they see that it can convey a really good story. So this is why the 3 older kids each read at least 1 chapter of a book of their choice. We go to the library often, and they are constantly picking out new books. We love it when we find a good series because that just makes the choice even easier. But for me, as a parent, I am constantly heading back to the Newbery Honor List to see what's on there, use that to kind of make choices on what we want our kids to pick out and aim for. And, if they've got a choice book that they're like really excited about, great, go for it. I will put a caveat in here. Graphic novels count. They count. There is a story arc. There is vocab. There are so many skills that they're following when they're using a graphic novel kind of setup. So please don't count those out. I would also say don't forget about audiobooks. Audiobooks are great. I think they're especially powerful when you can have the audiobook playing in their ears and the physical book in their hands, or second place of that would be the ebook on a screen and the audiobook in their ears. This again reinforces the good spelling, the pronunciation of words, phonics, all of that together, and especially for reluctant readers that just kind of get tired after a little while, that audiobook can keep them engaged for longer. Currently, right now, my 12-year-old is reading Nancy Farmer's trilogy, The Sea Trolls. Nancy Farmer is a multiple Newbery winner. So again, a really fun series. My 10-year-old is reading The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. My 8-year-old is into Gregor the Overlander by Suzanne Collins of Hunger Games fame. And our 6-year-old, she just loves reading Fancy Nancy. She could probably tell you the stories without looking at the words, to be honest. Geronimo Stilton, which is one of those kind of, Geronimo Stilton and Ginny B. Jones, which are those early chapter books for her that are kind of a reach at the moment, but if we alternate pages or alternate paragraphs, we're able to get through a chapter at a time. So a really fun kind of stepping stone moment for her, just depending on the mood. One piece I think we tend to forget about a little bit as parents is how much we're modeling. Kids catch this, and I do this by, plopping down with a book whenever possible, and every time we're heading out or we're at a sports practice or something, I've always got a book with me. Could be an audiobook, could be the physical book, but I've always got something with me. And so they see that I love reading. I make time for reading. On parts of Saturdays and on Sundays, I push social media to the side, my work aside, and Sabbath in the way of reading. I love that. That feels restful to me, and it's something that just brings me life. And so I have seen that my kids will then sit down next to me, pull up a blanket. Hey, can I sit with you? Hey, can I snuggle up and read with you? great. We're all chill, we're all silent, we're all reading, and it's amazing to watch those little habits form. So don't count out models. So that's our language arts rhythm. It's not complicated, but it's consistent. And I think that's what makes it effective. I'd love to hear what your kids are reading right now, what you've loved in terms of language arts. Let's make this a helpful place in the comments. So leave links to what you're using or the titles and authors of books that your kiddos love. And as always, if you're enjoying this content, please be sure you're subscribed and like this video. It helps our channel a lot. Thank you so much for being here. It's really important what you're doing. And if nobody's told you yet today, I want to tell you. Thank you. All right, guys, happy teaching.